Here comes a veteran, Ryan Newman, into the fold and has helped make this into a better team and organization, as we see Josef Newgarden.
I know, that's a sound you don't always hear.
Yeah, you don't hear that. Pretty cool, though, to hear that and to be able to watch him here. But I think that, Ricky is a great driver, maybe not as good a communicator to help move the needle as far as what was needed to make the race cars better there to compete at a higher level. But Chris Buescher will go there and do well, and hopefully Ricky finds something that fits him.
So a discussion we'll continue to have throughout the course of the weekend. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about what we're seeing out on the track right now. Junior, pretty cool to see an IndyCar out there with the champion behind the wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. This is really awesome to be able to see what this car can do. This is a unique situation, I think, for IndyCar to make laps at a ROVAL. The transitions out of the infield road course up onto the banking have to be rather challenging for this car and driver, so interesting to see this happen. I think that this isn't just for fun here. I think that Marcus and his group would love to have these guys come here and race for real one day. And this could be a tryout we're looking at.
Doubleheader weekend.
That's
How about
right.
that? Wouldn't that be something?
I think those that cross promotion is really cool.
Yeah, it is. And I love to theorize, like, hey man, is this potential for a guy to come out here, this series to come out here and race at this track? Doubleheader would be a lot of fun.
Yep.
Hey guys, look at who joined the party.
Clint Boyer.
Clint Boyer.
What do you think about this?
That space shuttle looks like it has a little more grip than our cars. But
you'd like to have those tires
it's
on
like
your
a
car?
fighter jet on the ground.
Joey Logano and I were just sitting there watching him hang out down there, and it's the first time I've ever seen an Indy car on a racetrack.
Yeah.
I've been doing this a long time, and it's the first time I heard it. I was like, man, that thing sounds weird,
Yep.
It's so cool to see, another form of motorsports try his hand at this racetrack. And I think you're right. You're probably seeing that the first test session for IndyCar on our ROVAL right here. I think, why wouldn't we bring those guys and embrace, their sport and join ours? I think it's a great idea.
You were talking to Josef down there, right? Did you talk to him?
No, he blew me off. I couldn't get close enough
Whatever.
to him. Yeah.
Second championship.
Right. He was busy signing autographs. But, no, it's just super cool that they're here. And hey, man, the guy just won a championship. He probably ought to be sitting on a boat somewhere celebrating. Instead, he's over here burning laps in Charlotte with us. Pretty cool.
As he goes around this racetrack, what are some of the most challenging parts about this course that you think would be presented to this IndyCar?
Yes.
Yes.
Man, I'm telling you, I've never been on a track as treacherous as this one. It seems like there's so many opportunities to mess up, and I think you see that through the course of today's practice sessions, whether it was Xfinity or Cup. You saw people making mistakes, just stepping over that line the least little bit. I've never been on a racetrack where it was that easy to do, and not just that one corner. Every racetrack has that one corner. This place, it seems like almost every single corner you go through, it's just holding your breath and praying you get through it.
What's your feelings on the new chicane on the back straightaway?
I like it, and I said this in my media obligation today. I said that I almost think it's more dangerous now than it was, and I don't mean that as a safety aspect. I mean that as your overall performance in a day, your outcome of the day. Everybody, a lot of us, including me, needing a big day out of this on Sunday. It's a very opportunist, corner to make a mistake. I mean, it's so well. I did in qualifying. I overdrove the. I'm talking this much, and as things starts wheel hopping, and you're over.
Is there a series of bumps in the surface of the track that induce that wheel hopping there? Is it pretty smooth?
I don't think so. I think it's you're just asking a lot out of your equipment in a short amount of time, and everywhere, Watkins Glen, all those places seem like there's a little bit of wiggle room, a little bit of give room, right? There's none. Yeah. You're asking so much out of your car to go from wide open, fourth gear wide open, down to first gear, in a corner that's so slow to first gear. I've never been on any racetrack where you go from fourth clear down to first, since that's kind of speed.
Yeah, it looks like the infield part of this, Clint, is maybe the most treacherous, that lacks the most grip. And I think it maybe is more that the tire doesn't fit up as well for that part of the course. Would that be accurate?
The tire, it's hard to explain to somebody. People ask all the time, why is this track? Why do you say that? Why are you so nervous? Here, the tire, the grip level in the tire, and it's kind of been this way all season long. It's either stuck you know, and you're comfortable and kind of complaining about needing to turn better, you know, it's too stuck. Free me up. And then all of a sudden you get that tire the least little bit on top of the track and it's like marbles. And that's what you see here with a lot of people making mistakes in practice. That thing right there looks extremely stuck, though. He probably just went through that corner right there through 3 and 4, 70 mile an hour faster than anybody's been through there all day. But I tell you what, this ain't no just hanging out. You hear the tires sliding right there? He's pushing it pretty hard.
I have the time for his last lap. I don't know about this one, but what do you think?
Fast.
11 seconds faster than William Byron's pole speed.
Wow.
Seconds.
And he had never been out here in this car.
Thank God they did that after everybody already left. Yeah, and just like you said, Dale, I mean, to just go out there, he's been out there 5 laps, and he's already, you know, busting laps 11 seconds faster than us. But it's going to be interesting to me to hear his comments on the racetrack. You know, this is such a drastically different, it's a temporary track for us. You know what I mean? I mean, it really is. We changed this and go back to the oval for our spring race. We've never done that in our sport. Obviously, they do that, so he's probably a little bit more accustomed to it in his IndyCar and their season and the tracks that they go to than us. But I'm really interested to hear his comments on the racetrack. And I mean, you can see that thing getting loose right there, wiggling. That's a treacherous corner for us. We've seen a lot of cars having, you know, trouble getting through there, spinning out and hitting the wall right there, getting into 3, and that car was a little bit, you know, tailing out.
Yeah, I imagine there's some awkward parts of this racetrack, whether you're in a Cup car or an IndyCar, and they probably counter some of those as well when they run the street courses. Those have to have some awkward positions and corners. But I always wondered about this car transitioning up onto the oval. We don't see them run ROVALs. And the transition onto the banking for something that's so close to the ground, depending upon that load, that downforce, and that car being low. Obviously, that transition's not too bad, but getting up on Turn 1 NASCAR.
I think he was worried about us, you know, talking to Joey before I came up here. He was definitely worried about the bumps on the racetrack. I guarantee you, he don't want to be on one of them turtles in that car. The turtles are bad news bears for our cars. I want to see that space shuttle do it. That thing jumps one time, he's going to the hook. But, you know, you asked Dale, and I guess that's a great way, and the way I attack this track is you really have, you know, two things. You have the infield that you have to be good at, right? There's a lot of speed to be gained in those short, tight corners throughout the infield of the racetrack. And then the other two are the entrance to that chicane, and it's how gutsy are you going to be? How hard are you willing to push it without stepping over the line? And the other one is right behind us, the entrance of the turn, you know, the last corners here on the front straightaway in front of all the fans. Those 2 corners are very important, and you can gain or lose a lot of time there, just like throughout the infield. One of the trickiest things about this track that I feel like is different, again, going to our familiar racetracks with Watkins Glen and Sonoma, is the difference. You almost have a Sonoma-type feel in the infield here, but then all of a sudden you get on that fast, high-speed part of the racetrack on our normal, you know, turns 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. That's big-time difference in speed that we have to deal with our Cup car and our crew chiefs, our engineers, and everybody else. That's a setup change. You can't. Our cars want to go fast, or they want to be short track cars. They don't want to do both.
So I'm sure you had a set of boxes to check off as this weekend approached, knowing what you have to do and what you want to do. You got one of those checked off. I'm sure that a top 5 starting position was one of those things, so you checked that off. Where do we go from here? What's your expectations, and what do you have to do?
Well, you have to think stage points. Stage points, you know, in our situation are everything. You got to live and die by those stage points. But I feel like we've been racing that way for the last month and a half or so. We really have. We've kind of prepared ourselves for this situation. You can't allow them to get those stage points. You know, they're in a situation, 4 or 5 stage points for them is a big problem for us. If that opportunity and that window opens up for them, you've got to be able to take it, you know, from them or keep them from it. You know, whether that be stay out and get those stage points or whatever the case may be, you've got to try to position yourself to not give them an opportunity to get stage points that you can't get. That's, I think, is the hardest thing to try to navigate for my crew chief, Mike, and every other crew chief in that situation. And then the biggest problem with all of it is you got to stay on the racetrack. Do not make a mistake and take yourself out of this situation, this opportunity for us.
So you talk about how important stage points are to you in stage 1, stage 2, but that presents a tricky scenario at the end of the race for the other teams that did not use that strategy. Now you may be behind several of those teams. We saw it at Sonoma. Some guys were able to rebound and drive through that traffic. Some were not. As a driver, is that frustrating, knowing that you've got to go in there and race a certain way and sort of almost risk that finish at the end?
Well, I don't know that it's as frustrating as it is nerve-wracking. You know, just like Indy. I think back to Indy and that opportunity in the first day. We qualified well, right? Everything's going smooth. And you're like, all right, how can this mess up for us? This is almost too easy. And here it comes. Here comes the caution with, 10 to go or something. We pitted. Newman stayed out, got those 6 points or whatever, and that was not what I needed right there. That evened our points back up, and now you're nervous again going into that second stage. But you got to be patient. You can